just came back from the strangest trip of my life. I flew from Los Angeles to Europe to go on a road trip with a Dutch urban explorer I'd never met in order to find, trespass, and film inside abandoned castles and chateaus in Belgium and Luxembourg. Before I show you what we found, let me explain why. So I wrote this book. It's called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It's my first novel, and it comes out in June. My publisher wanted a book trailer, and because I've made them before, for other people's books.
No!
Naturally, I wanted to make my own, too. The book's about a kid named Jacob who grew up hearing these fantastic stories from his grandfather.
Once upon a time, on an island, on the other side of the world, there lived some very peculiar children. They all lived together in a big old house. It was an enchanted place where no one could find them, and the sun shone every day.
But when Jacob turned 16, a tragedy and a series of mysterious events lead him to believe that his grandfather's old stories might be more than just fairy tales, and he goes off in search of the truth and that big house on an island on the other side of the world, which turns out to be an abandoned ruin where, among other things, he finds a stash of creepy old photographs, visual clues which are peppered throughout the book itself. So to make a trailer for a book about a kid who goes to Europe searching for this big old abandoned house, this home for peculiar children, I went searching for it too, in real life. I land in Amsterdam and spend a few days walking off my jet lag in one of Europe's most beautiful cities. A place with more bicycles than people and more canals than Venice, where I enjoy unreasonably good beer and in probably great weather, only to leave this tidy little country all too soon for the mess and decay I know is waiting for me in Belgium. I meet up with Martino, a Dutch explorer I'd reached out to after finding his incredible photos of European abandonments on the internet. If anyone will know where to find Miss Peregrine's house, it's him. The very first place we come to, obscured by thickets of brush down a long lane in the Belgian countryside, is so close to what I'd imagined as I wrote the book, with its gables and turrets and ivy-scarred walls, that, confronted by it now, I feel an uncomfortable sort of déjà vu. It's almost a relief, then, to find the inside a complete ruin, nothing like I'd pictured it. The floorboards feel soft underfoot. Roots hang down into the bathroom, grasping, like a curtain of tentacles. The next house is right in the middle of a village, but no one seems to pay us any attention, so we act like we belong there, and walk right in. At the end of a hall, in an upstairs closet, hangs a lone suit of clothes. Downstairs, we find a cave. An actual cave, with a bar and mirrors built into the ceiling. The real treasure, though, hidden under a blanket of green, is out back. It's an old workshop that had belonged to a man who made garden statuary. His tools and molds are strewn about. Here and there, the heads and limbs of never-finished statues, as if the old man had died before he could finish his last project. A pile of newspapers, dated 1955. His paints, still vivid all these years later. A place both alive and dead. Then to the hills and dark forests of the Ardennes, where this train station, built a century ago for the private and sole use of the King of Belgium, stands empty. And from there to Luxembourg, and a house that's as much like stepping into a time capsule as any I've been in. A door sealed shut with cobwebs. Just out of reach, gone brittle with rust, the key. Everything arranged as if the owner had just stepped out for a quart of milk, 50 years ago. Dust and dry rot, the only clues that no one lives here anymore. We shimmy up a tree through an open window into the next house. I think a wealthy person lived here. In the attic, a stack of beds. A dirty mirror. A fraying length of twine. What does an old house become, untended? Is it a museum of the lives that were lived here? Or a kind of corpse made from wood and stone, a memento mori? Atop the rubble of a caved-in room, I seem to find an answer. A grave marker, as if the house itself were a grave. But then I'm reminded of the epigraph that opens my book, from a poem by Emerson. Sleep is not. Death is not. Who seem to die, live. House you were born in. Friends of your springtime. They are all vanishing. Fleeing to fables. These houses aren't graves. They're secret histories, waiting to be read.